York's classic rock. Q1043.
We are in our new studios. This is the Q104.3 iHeart Performance Room. We have drums, we have a piano, we have keyboards, and I found a sax player walking the streets who's actually playing
Busking.
57th Street in the subway. I said, that's not half bad. You should come up with me. Mark Rivera.
Hey, what's happening?
Have you ever gone to see Billy Joel at Madison Square Garden? What do you call it?
The Madison Square Dinner Theater.
Dinner
at
theater
this
for
point.
20,000.
Yes.
I've never, the magic of Billy at the Garden, when you think of pyrotechnics and the light shows and the moving screens, the magic is it really is just a nightclub.
The magic is the song. Each song is the magic, and the band's pretty good, I have to say.
But I've never heard, have you ever heard an artist talk to the audience so intimately?
No.
Like, you want this one, you want that one. I'd really like to play this one. All right, fine.
If
we'll
I
play.
have to,
If I have, all
I'll
right, I'll play.
do it.
And I don't know if you guys know this or not, you know, ticket prices and all that. Billy doesn't sell the first two rows of tickets where he can make a fortune. He gives those away to the people.
He
in the
finds
back
them
row.
up in the sky. He has the crew go out and go up to the nosebleeds, and he sends, and everyone's like, "Yeah, well, what do I have to do?" No, just give me your ticket, and we'll come down. We'll do this. And first of all, the young people that are down there are out of their minds that they're getting to see this show second row. It's a great show, and they're thrilled, and you could sense how much.
And
they're
you
loving
guys
it.
see it, right? You guys feed off it.
100%.
He said once, he said there was one moment where, the, quote, as Billy would say, there's some fat guy sleeping with a hot young bimbo on his shoulder.
Yeah.
And he's kind of looking at me like, go ahead, piano man, play your song.
Show me what you got, kid.
And he's like, yeah, that's never happening again.
Yeah. We played some casinos, and the guy had a cigar almost falling out of his mouth, and Billy would walk up and like, really? And people around him are laughing. The guy's almost pretty much asleep. We were waiting for the cigar to fall.
That's the magic of it. The magic is in this man's fingers and his mind and his brain. Mark Rivera finally wrote the book. For years, I've been saying to my friend, write the book. And he has. It's called Sideman, In Pursuit of the Next Gig, and it's out now. Who's the publisher?
Ben Bella Books.
Ben, it sounds like a Brooklyn
Ben
guy.
Bella
Hey,
Books.
Ben Bella.
Ben Bella. Ben
So
Bella Books.
you're
Matt
gonna-
Holtz. Thank you.
You know all the music in it. You know the stories. But it's not just a story of success. It's highs and lows, how it goes back and forth. And the overall message to me that I took away was you have to be ready. You have to say yes.
Absolutely.
You have to be ready. Mark and I grew up on the planet of Brooklyn, New York. Not hipster Brooklyn. There was no $12, milk-free lattes in Williamsburg. That wasn't our Brooklyn. But the early days of growing up, and let's
Want
just
coffee regular.
regular. How you take that coffee, Mr. C?
Regular.
Regular. And tell the story about, the movie My Cousin Vinny? Tell him about your cousin Vinny.
Well, my cousin Vinny, may he rest in peace. He had a band. He was in a Latin band, and the bass player was fired. And he said, "Hey, you want to do a gig?" And I just two bands that I was in had just broken up. Things didn't work out. And I said, "Sure, I need the money. I'll go up and do it."
Do you play bass?
You play? Yeah, I play bass. But I'm saying he knew I could play. You play? Hey, you play bass? You know how to drive a pneumatic? Yeah, sure.
Sure.
But so I played bass in a Latin band. Reluctantly, but it was a gig. And so I get up to the Catskills at the Raleigh Hotel, and I'm playing boom, 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 really down because my dream of being a rock star, like it's the furthest thing from
Right.
that. Wearing we call the collar of obedience, a suit and tie. So I meet this guy, Bob Livingood, and he happens to be in a 10-piece band, which John Colbert was in. I'd met John previously. The long and the short of it, I played with this little jazz band. I brought my saxophone. He said, "Hey, you're pretty good." So fast forward about a half a year, go to see the band, and I was it's tranced. It was just incredible. And about 2 weeks later, the sax player left for whatever reason, and Bob said, "You know that guy I met up in the Catskills? He could do this gig." So it's this connectivity that you never phone it in. You go out and you do. To your point, I'm ready.
Right.
Can you do it? Yes, I can. Do you play Barry sax? Sure. I hadn't,
Between the time I go buy one and
and
the time I'll figure out how to
I
play
played
it.
a Barry sax. Yeah.
Right. But it's about saying yes and getting to every gig you can. You're playing Tracks, cool club in New York.
Right.
All these cool clubs. How do you connect with Mutt Lange? How does Mutt Lange find you?
Well, that was through the record plant, and that's back to my cousin Vinny. I met Bob Livingood. We were in a band, Bomf, that backed John Lennon. And out of that, I met with, I'd already known David Brown, excuse me, the guitar player with Billy Joel. And he had done some demos for a band called Cash, which later turned out to be called Tycoon. We were in a bidding war with Atlantic, Arista, and I can't remember the third record company. But Clive Davis, we had done the demos with Jack Douglas, who I love. And
Jack Douglas, who produced Aerosmith and John Lennon.
yeah, and he was the one. He and Rod O'Brien did the demos, and this bidding war was going on. And Clive said, "Well, I'll pay you 50. I think it was like 200,000 versus 250. I'll pay you an extra $50,000, but you need to use this new up and coming producer." I said, "Well, who's that?" He said, "Mutt Lang." I said, "What the hell is a Mutt Lang?" And nobody knew. Lo and behold, he and I became fast friends. The album came and went, and in the interim, I was back at Trax doing all these different things. So I go to Trax, playing a gig with my dear friends Bet Sussman, Yogi Horton, may he rest in peace, Jimmy Rip. And I get home, walk up my sixth floor, walk up, the phone rings.
What time is this?
This is about midnight. No, about 11:30. Phone rings. Hello? Marcus, it's Mutt. Oh, how are you, man? I'm good. I'm wondering if you come down to Electric Lady. I said, yeah, well, when do you need me? He goes, right now. He said, oh, I told him, Mutt, I'm kind of shagged. He said, well, I'm cutting a new track for Foreigner's new record. Hung up the phone. I think by the time the phone hit the receiver hit the phone, I was in a cab and down at Electric Lady. I got to meet Mick and Lou, and the running joke to this day is, they would drink a little vodka, they played foosball, so it was vodka, foosball, take vodka, it went on and on. And the session went on for about 4 hours.
What song were they working on?
Urgent.
So they're doing Urgent. It's the middle of the night. They're drinking vodka. They're playing foosball, and they want you to play some sax on it. Now, they had King Curtis on it, right? Or
No, they were going to have Junior Walker.
Junior Walker, right.
But he hadn't played it yet. They just needed two sections of the song, two little bits. One was 2 measures, one was 4 measures. And there was nothing but drums. And I had to come up with something.
You had to make something up.
Make something up on the spot. Again, can you do it? Sure.
Yeah. So what did you make up?
Well, the thing that's crazy is I played for 4 hours, and Mutt, because he's got this sense about him, before I even had the headphone mix correct, he just pressed the little red button. It was like, you paid for the studio already.
Just
doesn't
record.
cost anymore. So 4 hours after they went back and forth with every iteration of the song or the bit, they said, Mutt said, come on inside. I want you to hear what Mark's done. And I did this. And they're like, that's great. It's like Morse code. It's awesome. And Mutt says, that was the first thing he played. So
that was just rehearsal.
That was me.
Just fooling around.
Well, actually, Jimmy Braylauer said, I responded. I reacted in the moment, which is the best place you could be.
On one hand, you have to have the craft. You have to have the ability to just play. On the other hand, you have to have the experience. It's all those hours and hours, like we talk about the Beatles in Hamburg. It's playing tracks. It's playing the clubs. It's playing the Raleigh. It's playing every little place that brings you to what this is and that you're able to do it. So you play for it. I'm playing that song practically every other day. Every rock station in the world plays that song every other day, and we play that. And talk about using your first take, your first instinct. Tell the Peter Gabriel story.
Oh, so again, at Trax, which if you grew up in New York in the 70s and 80s, in fact, Billy and I said, I can't believe we didn't run into each other at Trax.
He was there too?
He was Trax and JP's? Oh, yeah. We were there many nights and many mornings after, if I may say. So another occasion, I'm, again, with Bet Sussman, Yogi Horton, Jimmy Rip, and we're backing this singer because we backed everybody. It was either JP's or Trax, back and forth. And at the end of the gig, this gentleman comes up and says, hey, Mark, I really was impressed with you. I said, hey, thanks. The guy's name is Jimmy Phelan. And he said, can I take your number? So it was back in the day, just, yeah, take my number. Fast forward 3 years, I get a call, excuse me, from Jimmy Fallon. Hey, Mark, it's Jimmy Fallon. Hey, what's happening? Well, I'm doing a session, excuse me, I'm doing a session at the power station. And I'm like, oh, I hope it's not his girlfriend because she wasn't really that great a singer. Because actually, I'm a producer's rep now. I'm representing Danielle Lanois, Bob Dylan, U2, and we're doing a song for Peter Gabriel's new record. Now, I was only home 3 days, and Sandra's like, "You're going to do what? For who? What?" I said, "I had to do this session." So I get there, and it's Manu Cachet, Tony Levin, and I forget the keyboard player. It was just a basic track. There were no lyric, but Peter Gabriel.
Just a rhythm track.
Just a rhythm track. And Peter Gabriel said, "Well, I'll tell you what, make it press the button. Just play the first thing that comes into your head." And on my eyes, it was myself.
The first thing Mark Rivera thought of, play the first thing that comes into your head for Peter Gabriel was this.
And
Huh?
double it. Wayne Jackson, may he rest in peace, from the Memphis Horns, was on trumpet. We doubled it, tripled it. All of a sudden, there's like 16 horns playing that line. And
That's the song.
Yeah.
You guys created the song. That is the I love Peter Gabriel.
Well, I
that
appreciate
song
that.
is that hook.
Can I really give the cheat of this whole thing?
Sure.
Listen to that song and then listen to the song Superstition. Very superstitious writings. When you believe in things you don't understand, then you suffer. Superstition. Boop, 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 boop.
Do
What
it.
does that
Play
sound
it.
like?
So, play.
I mean, it's the song. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I cheated.
Well, you didn't cheat. You took what was in your head and made it something else.
Yeah.
Which the Beatles did, the Stones did, which everybody does, but you made it your own. Come on, how cool is that? Stevie Wonder influenced that riff of Sledgehammer that we play all the time.
Stevie Wonder influenced
Everything.
so much. So
Mark Rivera, the new book out, Sideman, In Pursuit of the Next Gig, with all these great stories. Foreigner, your first time with the private plane and the lobster, and riding Vespas around the Vatican at midnight with Bobby Mayo.
May he rest in peace. God.
And the question that everybody asks is, how do you become Ringo's music director? How do you get to Ringo?
That was through George Travis, who had done so many things with Billy, with Bruce, with Madonna, and the list goes on. It was the third tour, and Clarence Clemens was scheduled to be in the band, and he had within a couple of weeks, Bruce announced that they were going to go on tour, so he had a conflict, which happens.
He's got to go with Bruce.
Well, as Ringo understands with me to this day, but. So now, George tells him, "Well, I have this guy Mark Rivera play sax. I don't need a sax player." He was off saxophones. He just was upset with Clarence. He goes, "Yeah, but he sings. He plays guitar." So he begrudgingly allows me the audition. So I do the audition, and I was really psyched. I spent like 10 days playing the guitar on this, keyboard on that. Just being overly prepared.
Be ready.
Be ready. Actually, there is no over preparation.
Right.
You are prepared or you're not. And so I get there and meet everybody. First of all, Billy Preston. Hello.
Yeah.
Billy Preston, Felix Cavalieri, Mark Farner, Randy Bachman, John Entwistle, and Zach. And of course, the other guy, the Ringo guy.
Yeah. Hell of a band.
So I'm slack-jawed, awestruck, but I had played all these songs as a kid. We covered the whole Rascals album when I was in probably Matrix Square or whatever band I was in at the time. In '67, we did the whole Collections album. So I knew that. I knew this stuff. I knew Grand Funk Railroad. So I was ready. And we ran through It Don't Come Easy. Then, it don't come easy, you know it don't come easy. Nice three-part harmony. It was like, this ain't great. This really isn't great. So I turned around and said, by the way, I'm having a little trouble getting my part, trying to be, and could we just do it a cappella? We did it a cappella. Yeah. And everybody was like, oh, okay. This is how we can do it. Because all of these guys they're stars in their own bands.
Right. But they didn't really work on.
Well, none of
everybody
them were
else's songs.
sidemen.
Right.
I mean, they might have been sidemen in bands like when they were growing up.
Right.
and
But
cutting their
they
teeth.
haven't been for 30 years. right?
Correct. And so next song comes, and I happen to know that one. I knew the lyric. I knew. Finally, the third. I picked up the guitar to play to sing.
Closer to home.
Yeah, I'm your captain. It was magical. And by whatever song it was, someone asked, "Oh, what chord is that?" I said D-7, and everybody's like, "Oh, okay." So somebody else was just about to ask someone, just ask Mark. He seems to know everything. So at that
That's
point,
how you become the music director.
I
Because you
became
are the music
I
director.
became the MD.
And so, yeah, I'm going to stop for a second. So there's some great sax lines in Ringo songs. Would you play something, maybe Photograph or something?
And I can't remember what key he plays it in. Photograph or
Ta-da.
every time I see your face, it reminds me of the places we used to go. The hardest part was to remember because I sang and played back and forth.
That's hard, right?
Well,
it's one thing to play guitar, but
Well, the other one was all the world over, so easy to see. People everywhere just gotta be. Listen, please, listen. That's the way it should be. People, I had to stop. Okay, let's play Barry. Peace in the valley, people gotta be. I couldn't sing the
Yeah,
last two.
yeah.
Peace in the valley, people gotta be
People-
fired up. But that's what I did. That's what I always did.
you're just ready. That's Mark Rivera. The story's about Ringo. And we see him every month at the Garden with Billy. I'm going to ask for a favor for me and for the thousands of people who are watching and listening, Billy Joel fans, classic rock fans, Q104.3 fans. Could I ask you this early, cold morning to play a little New York State of Mind?
Okay.
So you see it at the Garden, 20,000 people. I don't think you've ever seen the guy on stage play it for you in this room.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see how it goes.
And then the other guy comes in and starts playing, singing that piano. It's the greatest gig. I am the luckiest guy you might ever speak to, and the best part of it is that I realize it, and I'm grateful
I was going to
for
say,
it.
is there ever a night when there isn't a rush? Is it ever a
No.
night where it's, I'll just play that again?
No. The crazy thing is that people say, "Oh, does it get to be like a get you?" No, you're on the side of the stage and there's 20,000 people, and there's three levels of excitement. It's get backstage, hey, kick some, they have a great show. So there's that, and then the crowd has got that hush. Then everyone knows the natural.
Right.
Da, da, da. That's when they know it's coming. So that's the next level. There's 4 levels actually. Then the next point is the lights go out, boom, and this crowd really gets. Then Billy comes out, and whatever the first song is, once the lights hit Billy, the place explodes. If you don't get a rush, and if your heart's not pumped, you should check your vital signs because
Jack, you
you're
dead.
not- it's an incredible thing to be part of it. I joke candidly, I joke crazily, I should say. We call it the Madison Square Dinner Theater. But we have the greatest crew in the world. We have Brian Ruggles, our front of house sound man, is the best ever.
It always sounds great.
Steve Cohen, our lighting production manager, bigger. He's the production. He does the lights.
Coordinate it right.
He coordinates the set. But most importantly, he's the greatest guy in the world to work for. I say this, I'll tell it to him, and there's an expression Michael Grisell, our manager, our tour manager, says, the horse is either a thoroughbred champion or it stinks from the neck back, which means the head of the horse and the head of the organization is what makes it great, and it couldn't be better. It could not possibly be better. We're led by a champion, and he allows us to run like the thoroughbreds that I believe we are.
Mark Rivera, the book Sideman in Pursuit of the Next Gig. It's such a great read. It's so much fun. The stories, and it's not scandalous stuff. It's what's life like. You always wonder, what's it like to be up there? What's it like to tour? This is how you're going to find out, Mark Rivera, Sideman. I love you so.
I love you back.
Peace
Thank
and
you.
love.
Peace and love.
And we'll see you at Michael's in Brooklyn one of these nights.
Amen.
New York's classic rock. Q1043.